Tom from the Tycoon Network, CT Wire Prep. Another video today. We're going to talk about things you need to do, at least some things anyways, you need to do when you're an entrepreneur and you have your small business running successfully, and you finally have to hire a person or some people because you got a larger contract or job that requires people. So I'm just going to put the remote control down because I'm going to hold something up here. This is called a shop traveler sheet, and it's pretty much part of a quality system. If you're going to bring people into your facility to work for you, you need to have some way of monitoring them and training them up properly and making sure they're doing the correct job. So this is a shop traveler, and it's made in Excel, and it's custom for every job we do. The product that this particular shop traveler is involved with is this wire right here. And so I'll just put the shop traveler down for a second and I'll hold up the wire just to show you a little bit about it. This wire was cut on the machine that you previously saw in the last video. And this wire is, according to the shop traveler, 20 inches long. And it's stripped a specific length here because it's going to get a terminal on. And notice the strands of the wire, we try and protect them from coming apart because it makes life easier when you go to crimp. And it's also got a hot stamp on it. If you notice, that was from that hot stamper. I'll just hold this up high enough. I'm not sure where my camera is at the moment, but hopefully that's in the center of your view. So you see the end of the wire, and then the other end of the wire is right here, and it's got a longer strip, and this end's already been hot tin dipped. In other words, the strands can't come apart, they're soldered together. And that's a process we do here too in a molten solder pot. And so this wire is not completely processed yet, it's in process, and it's waiting right now. I pulled it away from where it should be over at the press. And what happens is, I'll put this back down, what happens is with this shop traveler, okay, it has a lot of information on it, obviously. The very first thing is the company that we're building this for. Now, we don't put the name of the company on the shop traveler because when we do, say, a tour, we don't want the people who come through seeing which company that we're actually doing work for. So every company has a number. So you're going to need to make a spreadsheet with, a number of your customers, basically, if you're going to be doing repeat work, which we do. This particular job is done many times during the year. And so it's a repeat customer. And yeah, so they issue a purchase order. So that's, my finger's just going to go down. We'll go down the elements real quick. The purchase order, and they usually issue a number, its due date. If there's a drawing associated with this particular product, then it'll have an issue number and a rev level. Part number itself that the customer calls it, is right in here, and that can, we put a pretty big box in there because some customers have really long numbers and some don't. Then we have what's more or less how we build it, and just again my finger will point at things. This is titled the Intermediate Production Quality Control, or QC. We shorten things up because you only have so much room on the sheet, and so we go into I'm trying to read it here because I'm kind of sideways, but characters and tolerance, and item check number and characters and tolerance. So the wire cut length is going to be checked, obviously. It's specified as 20 inches right there, and this is initial. These boxes here are for initialing. You can see they do it quick, kind of a shortcut. They just put their initial up here and they stroke down, and then this is the person that QC'd it. It's a different person. This is CC, which is one of our initials of our operators or our setup operator, and this is the quality control person, and so that's KC. And yeah, so they, we know who these people are, so we know who to go to if there's an issue. So it kind of creates a traceability to who did the job, which is what you need when you hire somebody. Okay, so it specifies, again, 20 inches. This particular shop traveler is for the mating wire. This is it says black, and I showed you a red wire, but I took the sheet out of the same bin. There was 2 wires in it, and I just grabbed the first shop traveler and didn't really look at the color, but it's the same. The black and the red wires are going to be having a terminal put on them, and then they're going to be slid into a plastic housing and locked in place, and it becomes a connection system for apparently some kind of power supply is what it says up here. It says power supply harness, which is what the customer calls it, and a particular number. And so yeah, so it talks about what type of wire, 20 gauge, TEW is the style. That's a CSA designation for a type of wire. Stamped with what you saw printed on the wire, so that's telling us, you know, end 1. We always put end 1 and end 2 for a wire, and tell us what's stamped on it with what strip length. So the strip length and the stamp have to go together. And then the other strip length is, I know these numbers don't mean anything to you, but 6.5 means something to us. It's based on 6.5/16 of an inch, just so you know. Where in the other machine that we have, the older machine, it uses gauge blocks to space the distances of the strip blades from the cutting blades, so creating different strip lengths, and they're always based in 16ths of an inch. So yeah, and so that has that strip length with what should be stamped on that side. And then of course there's a check for nicks, okay, because when you set this thing up, you want to make sure you're not going to be knocking out strands. That's not good when you're processing wire. And so, you know, there's a check for that. And then, you know, so this is called first off machine setup, and the quality control check for all of this stuff is done by somebody other than the setup operator. Quite often the setup operator will also do the run. This run is for a quantity of 150. I'm just pointing at that. And we even tell them what machine to put it on. We have a CLS2, a CS6, and now we have a Carpenter machine, and we also have now the Artos 336, which we just recently you know, bought, and so it's not even on here yet. We haven't updated this spreadsheet as of yet, so it will get updated though. Normally it would have been cut on the older machine, the CS6, at this point, and it probably was. And so anyways, yeah, so that we're moving down the sheet now. So there's a periodic inspection by QC if it's more than 500. So kind of an SPC check. If we're starting to do more than 500, it should get checked every so often. You know, if you're going to do, like, we did have a job for like 100,000 wires, so we put the SPC level at I think it was 3,000, which is about 1 hour. We can cut about 3,000 wires an hour. So yeah, SPC, because, you know, if something's going to go wrong on the machine, it starts knocking out the strands, you don't want to waste all your wire, right? And even 3,000 is, you know, that's 3,000 feet of wire, right? So that's significant enough. You may want to make your SPC even smaller, 500, or, you know, when we're doing something, you know, that big, generally we have an operator continually monitoring the process anyways. But SPC definitely is checked. Then moving down further down the requirements for quality control and just for the whole job itself, we have an inspection a final inspection of the cutting before it can have terminals put on, or crimp terminals put on that one end, the short end that's stripped there that you saw. You know, we have to make sure that, you know, they get inspected quickly to make sure for sure there's no strands knocked out and the strip length is correct and all that. And there's kind of a first off machine setup for that. So it tells us here what terminal to put on, which die to use. You know, every gauge of wire, when you crimp a terminal on it, you have to test the press to make sure that it's creating the right pull test. So it's a destructive pull test. We actually rip one wire apart from the terminal and make sure that it's correctly crimped, and we do that in the beginning, and we also do one at the end to make sure nothing changed if it's you know, a longer process of wire. You know, but we still do one even at 150. This runs for 150. It was actually 300. I know what's going on here. We doubled up on the run, but it's not showing on the quantity here for this particular run, and there's a reason for that. But anyways, and then so the terminal is specified, and we have a part numbering system for everything we have inside CT, from the wire to the terminals to the housings to, you know, anything, ties, heat shrink, tape, anything you use to build a wire harness. And it's all in a software package we use called QuickBooks Manufacturing, just so you know. And that creates a bill of material for this part, so we can just call it up by part number, and all these sheets and everything get printed off. This is an Excel spreadsheet, just so you know. We built it on an Excel spreadsheet, so every part we build inside CT, and we have thousands. You know, this spreadsheet is particular to this particular product, and it gets called up by its part number and rev level, loaded into the spreadsheet, and then we print them off. And this is what travels with that wire. Okay, anywhere around the shop. So it goes to the cutting machine, and then the cutter cuts it, and then it's married at that point to the wire or cable or whatever it is. and it travels with it, and of course documents more or less who did what to the whole thing. You can see the other end has just twist tin, okay, which is what I showed you. It's soldered together, the other end, the long strip. And so then there's a final inspection here, okay, when the terminals are crimped, and there we mark, you know, if we have any rejects or anything like that. So there's a 100% inspection of the crimps after they're done, which is another quality check, and we do that because once you click them into their plastic housing, you can't see them anymore. So you want to make sure your quality is correct before you put it into the housing. Makes sense. And so, yeah, and so we have a little area down at the bottom here. If there is any rejects, you have to, you know, just specify how many and that sort of thing. And, you know, if there's, you know, say you had a lot of them, which very, very, very seldom happens to us now anyways, you know, you'd have to readjust your inventory level because you're going to be replacing any rejects because you need to build so many. And so yeah, and there's a little history area down here of any, you know, if we've ever had any issues with anything. It's pretty much blank here on this one. So yeah, and there's very few times, but the odd time we do have something that crops up where, you know, you had an issue with something, whether it may have not made it out to the customer, but even if it's some kind of a setup issue, or you can use an alternate wire if, you know, like there's tinned wire and bare copper wire, or things like that. Just a history of what's gone on in the past and if there's been any issues, and so it alerts the operator about that. And you know, and then this sheet, once the product is all done, this sheet is then kept at our facility as a and it's stored in a filing system, and you know, we can pull it out at any time. We keep this up to 2 years for our customer benefit if they do, because it usually takes, even, you know, we send stuff out all over the world, so it takes time to get there. And then they actually, one of our customers is down in Mexico, for instance. They might take like two to 3 weeks to even get the product, and then they wind up you know, maybe using the product 4 months later. And so we've had that happen. You know, one time they phoned us up, you know, and it wound up being there was an issue at their factory anyways, but you know, you want to pull things out and see the history of, well, what went on with that part, you know, just so you know who made it, what did, you know, and then you can talk to whoever and, you know, kind of figure out, you know, if there's any issue. And that's all part of a bigger quality system called the ISO 9000 system, which we were implementing actually back in 1996. We were asked by one of our, well, it was at the time our largest customer, to implement ISO 9002, which is more or less for us because we don't design wire harnesses, we build them to specifications that our customers give us. So they're, you know, everything you see that we build here is custom to that customer. It's not something, you know, that you would stock on a shelf and send out as a product to, you know, a whole bunch of different customers. Each customer has their own thing going on. And so custom wire harness manufacturing, lead assemblies, that's what we build. And that's a shop traveler. And so I thought I'd put that there. This kind of goes with CT and the Tycoon Network for entrepreneurship. Because if you're going to start hiring employees, you need to have something in place. So you don't have to go out and get ISO 9002, but you need to develop paperwork, shop travelers, whatever way you're going to do it. You need to have some way of monitoring your employees, and of course, you know, train them properly. And you know, then they realize that, you know, there's a system in place that you know, they have to do things right and a certain way. You know, for any manufacturing process, that's totally necessary. So that's just something I thought I'd show you. It's part of our whole system at CT. So the other thing we're doing here at this point is we're trying out different things with our audio. We seem to be having a little bit of issue with some hum. So this is a retake actually of a previous video which I haven't posted or put up on YouTube yet. So hopefully this one works better. So that's just another little issue on the side here that we're doing. We're still, like I said, learning. And so that's it for this video today. And you know, if you like these kind of videos and you're interested in entrepreneurship, crowdfunding, and if you have a small business and you're just a one-man operator right now and you're thinking of expanding, hope this helps you out. So yeah, give us a thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe below, and there'll be a link at the bottom of this video to go to our website, the Tycoon Network, and you know, you can read about what we're about there and join the tribe if you would and become a tycoon. That would be the best. Okay, so until next time, take care. Bye.